How good is your team? That is a great question. Most people that start this business acquisition process are reasonably desperate in terms of building a team, finding professionals, talking to financial institutions, and talking to prospects to acquire. And it's great to be aggressive in that search. However, what's really important is that you don't settle for the wrong people along the way. So, how do you not do that? First of all, just realize that most things you do in the beginning, you don't do very well. You can take walking for an example. When you were a little tyke, you fell over a whole lot of times before you learned how to walk and how to run. So just understand that. But to be able to assemble the right team, and let's focus on that, the first thing is you have to know what the criteria is. So for instance, oh, this is a great guy. Okay, he'd be a great chairman. Well, I don't know. Let's think about that for a second. How many acquisitions has he done? Well, he's never done an acquisition, but he was in a Fortune 500 company. He might be a great guy for the board or lady for the board, but he or she is not your chairperson. The number one criteria is they have done acquisitions. That's the talent you wanted a chairperson. So remember that. And I want to give you a couple examples. There are mentees that I have that certainly have had, including myself, problems with board members. So first, understand, as I just said, the criteria. Stick to that. One of the ones that comes to mind, and these are all real life, is that one of my most successful mentees, Gabriel, had a board put together, good board, talented chair. Right before the board meeting, the chair said to him, you know, I want in this board meeting, I want these board members to put in capital. And Gabriel, to his credit, stuck to his guns. Now remember, most of the time you are dealing with much more senior people than yourself. So there's some alpha dogs you're going to be dealing with, and they can have some pretty forceful personalities. So he said, I did not bring these people on with that expectation, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to ask him to contribute capital. This is the night before the first board meeting. So remember that. So the chair says, well, if you're not going to do that, then I resign. Most people would have decided that they weren't going to go through with the board meeting. Gabriel didn't do that. He did. I want to remind you that he's also the person that had 14 LOIs during the pandemic that all disappeared, and he continued on. And truth be told, I've taken a piece of that deal, and I work closely with Gabriel, and I consider that a privilege and an honor based on how that's going. So stick to your guns. He did. He ended up, as almost always you do, with a better chairperson in the end. Another one that just happened this past week, a mentee that, again, I've taken a piece of that deal as well, but he ended up seeing on LinkedIn that one of his board members had gone to work for a direct competitor. Now, the guy wasn't smart enough, if he's going to be unscrupulous, he wasn't smart enough to go ahead and turn off his notifications. So it actually got notified to this mentee via LinkedIn. But as Ronald Reagan said a whole lot of years ago, trust but verify. Do some checks on your board members on a regular basis. Give them some tasks that see how committed they are to this process, certainly. Those are just two examples, but they're both great examples of, one, understanding who should be on your board, two, having that criteria, having your integrity tight enough and clear enough that you know what's right and what's wrong and can push back on board members when they don't meet your expectations. But remember too, in the beginning, as I said at the beginning of this, you won't be that good. You'll have a tendency to say, well, anybody is good. I just need to build a board. No, you will live with those problems to a larger degree later on. So don't do that. Have your criteria, Do your interviewing, have those questions down. Remember, you are interviewing them. With big hitters, there's a tendency to let them interview you because you're nervous and this is new. But have your questions down, interview them. And if you do that, you will be in a much better position. You are not going to do this alone. So the team around you, the board of directors, the professionals, the financial partners, those are all critical to your success. So just remember that and get an A team. Get an A team. Okay, if you don't know the steps and you're listening to this, you should know the steps. So get the Acquisition Advantage Bootcamp over at brucewhipple.com. We've recently put up some conversation starters. You can just get those off brucewhipple.com. If you want to go there to go.brucewhipple.com/free course, you can get that as well. That has some pretty good templates in it on how to have some initial conversations. But remember, how good is your team? And use that barometer to evaluate the team. And the better the team is and the better you interact with them and the more you ask them for their opinions and wisdom, the better off you will be in this business acquisition process.